As we near the midpoint of May, it's time to shift our focus to the tropics. The Atlantic hurricane season officially begins in less than 3 weeks, while the Eastern Pacific season kicks off this Thursday. That same day, May 15th, also marks the start of the daily outlooks for the Atlantic. So let's bring in the former National Hurricane Center Director, Bill Reed, to discuss more. Bill, it's great to have you here with us this afternoon just to talk about a topic that is going to be on the top of a lot of folks' minds within the next month or so. With the season fast approaching and the last year's activity still on everyone's mind, what's your take on what we could be facing this upcoming year?
Well, I've been looking at all the various entities that put out seasonal forecasts, and compared to a lot of years, they're all closely matched. There's not that big a difference, and they're all thinking a little bit higher than the long-term average amount of activity, but perhaps less than we've seen the last several years while we were under the La Nina.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing a lot of people are set to compare the last couple of years and the activity that we've seen over the last couple of years to this upcoming year. There's a couple of changes that's been in place, but I do want to mention that we have seen active early seasons. So maybe starting before or at the month of June, most notably Beryl becoming the earliest Cat 5 storm just last year. So do you think we're heading in that direction of seeing maybe more earlier storms or more storms on the back end of the season?
Well, it could be. Part of that is driven by the fact that during this time period that we maybe the last 15 years or so that we've seen earlier season activity before the 1st of June and bigger storms at the front end of the season than we're typically seeing. We've had much warmer than normal uh, sea surface temperatures. Now, this year out in the eastern Atlantic to central Atlantic, the temperatures are actually running a little below average, so they're quite a bit cooler than they were last year. That might lead to a more typical start for the season in the main development region. We still have to watch out what happens in the Gulf and Caribbean. It's going to certainly be warm enough to support hurricane tropical storm activity.
Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on things, especially as we near this upcoming season. Now, there has been a couple of changes at the National Hurricane Center. They've been planning to make these changes to the forecast cone graphic for the 2025 hurricane season. Particularly, what do you think, or what do you know, I should say, in regards to the changes that will be happening and how they'll impact maybe the inland tropical storm or hurricane watches and warnings for this season?
Well, they introduced it's still I think it's still going to be experimental this year, but they introduced the capability of overlaying what the inland watches and warnings are associated with the landfalling hurricane to the cone, which takes away the misconception that the impacts are just at the coast that some people have, and we really got a hard lesson in that with Hurricane Helene last year.
Yeah, Hurricane Helene definitely was one for the record books. Of course, we do have a big season ahead of us, and we appreciate you spending some time with us here today to talk more about that. Of course, we'll be talking to you through the season, hopefully, and stay in touch. That's former National Hurricane Center Director Bill Reed. Thanks again for this afternoon.
Thank you, Kiana. Have a good one.